Hello and good day to you. So I didn't post anything for a while. I've had a series of unfortunate events with various pieces of kit breaking. Not least is the microphone, which hopefully you can hear the new smooth sound of the new microphone. I did manage to cause some data loss to my computer, and it's been a bit of a nightmare. But without further ado, I'm going to try and share some information about Leaflets, which is another library in R. You'll probably watch the K-means clustering technique show. If you haven't, you can still watch this, but what I wanted to do was if you've watched the previous show, you were following about K-means clustering, and we used it in light of Boston police data. What I want to show is a much quicker way of getting efficient maps built using the Leaflet library. What you'll need to use for today is the DPLYR library and the Leaflet library as such as here. If you're then following along, you'll need to take the Kaggle data for Crime Incident Reports 2015 Boston. You'll have to search it. It's the same one as you used for last show. Now, your starting data will be a huge amount of information. We don't want to use that. First time I was doing this, I made the mistake of trying to filter just on drug violations, and that's still a huge amount of data. So I managed to find a nice cut of the data which is useful to play around with using filter and a filtering on the offence description, weapon, firearm, carrying, possession act. Yeah, I don't know what we're saying when it's carrying and possession is and etc is an offence, but I don't get it anyway. Basic data cleanliness, they do put in NAs when they don't find the location or don't report the location. So as you see here, lat and long is NA. So just to clear that out and lesson on cleaning your data before you carry on. Now, the way you use Leaflets is, the command is leaflet data equals the data frame using. As per normal, I'm using data. You then use these pipes, which are the percentage sign and right side arrow, another percentage sign. Add tiles, close, open and close the function brackets, another pipe, percentage, arrow, percentage, and that will be your first line. And if you remember back to ggplot, the pipes in this are telling you that you can go down to another line, so you'll see the plus sign there. And what you'll do is you'll add the markers, which is another function of Leaflet. So Leaflet does the same thing as ggplot of you add multiple layers, a similar way to the grammar graphics, to build up complicated maps. And Leaflet is something to be seen to be believed. You can go into quite detail. You don't even have to use the planet Earth map. You can, if you went and got a file for Middle Earth, you could probably use that. But in simple form, you give it the longitude and latitude. You can give it a group, and there's various other commands that you can go into, and there's a whole lesson on their website on how to create special icons and colour in different countries. And I could do a mini series just on Leaflet, and maybe that's something to go and look at some point. But I feel that Leaflet is simple enough that once you've got one or two skills out of it, that'll be 90% of your use, and you probably don't need to go into the real depth stuff of making you can get to the point where you can make specific colours for these and specific PNG files. So you could load a file of your face, say, there, and if that's what you wanted. I personally don't. If you did the k-means clustering last time, you'd be pleased to know Leaflet will do this stuff for you. If you add in the command to your add markers of cluster options equal marker cluster options, open and close brackets, you will get a k-means clustering of the data set. So you can see here, if you were a police planner, you'd be saying that's your big, so this isn't an even ones, but you can see the clustering technique going on. It split up the data into sections. You can also add in labels and pop-ups. I recommend going to Leaflet website and looking into this if this is something you want to do, because the pop-ups can go down to actually being pointers to HTML data. But as you can see here, we've got the district data added as a pop-up, so you can make it interactive. You can set labels as well, so if you wanted that number just floating above, you can do that as well. The final thing I'm just going to show you is if you want to set up, so you get different colours, what you do, make a function, and this function will apply the colours based on, so you've got data hour, you're passing the hour value to the function, and then you're assigning it the colour based on an if statement. So you've got if less than or greater than 8, it's going to be green, else if hour greater equals 16, orange, else red. So you can do that for similar things if you wanted to make 7 of them and colour all your different colours of the week. That's one way of doing it. That will create the function. We will then create a vector for the icons. You see icons, and we use the awesome icons command. Icon equals isClose, icon color black, which will set the middle of the icon. So i.e. this is the PNG file you're going to use. This tells it the library, and then the market color, you're going to say get the color, you're telling it to get the color according to this function you've created. So created a function to define the logic it's going to use. And then if we go to the final one, you're setting the icons to your icon list, and if you do that, it will generate a map. And as you can imagine, if you're clever, that can cover a lot of the different stuff you might want to mess around with maps. As I say, Leaflet is this whole of a thing. You could spend ages messing around with it. You could make maps of Middle Earth with very bespoke pins in. Those pins could be clicked on and give a pop-up that then goes to a HTML website that you can click into and go and look at. So it's incredibly interactive. I'm not sure I would ever build something like that, but it's fun. And if you're messing around with geospatial data, hopefully that gives you an idea of that you're not just using k-means. And I wanted to introduce you to k-means because it gives you the idea of how these clustering things work. Now actually k-means isn't just used for geospatial stuff and mapping data, it's used for a whole range of things, and hopefully at some point I'll get round to giving you an idea of what that means by other things. But you can see there's a whole range of stuff you can do with making maps from data. You don't have to just do a k-means and do a graph and show a graph. You can actually make some quite special little maps and share them with people. Hopefully you found this interesting. I mean, at the very minimum, if you'd sat there and looked at the k-means lesson and gone, great, but that's not a map, or great, I really want to use that for planning or looking for maps, but I don't really get what that is on a plot. And yeah, you might also consider that you can go and use Google Earth and you get similar results, but it's a different way of using the same thing, and hopefully you'll find it useful at some point. So that's all from me. I hope that you found this useful. Have a good night. Bye.